All right, so there's gonna be a coaching session with Nyrock. What elo are you, Nyrock?
Right now, silver two.
Okay, so it's all right. So against Vladimir top lane, I see you took Ignite, so I'm assuming you took Unseal Spellbook in this matchup.
Correct.
All right,
Correct.
cool. What did you take secondary? Sorcery, I'm guessing.
Uh, I think I won resolve.
Really?
I think so.
Because if you go Resolve, you just get health. You don't get the AD. Yeah, it looks like you took
Okay.
Resolve. So that's the first mistake. In this matchup, like having more health against Vladimir doesn't really help out at all. You
Okay.
just need to get the sorcery, probably run either Scorch with Mana Flow or like Transcendence Mana Flow. And you took Minion Dematerializer. That's okay. So you pushed the level 1, which is not something I would do. Vladimir is a matchup that like you need to punish early on because he does scale very well. And
Okay.
your jungler is starting bot side. And Vladimir is pretty easy to gank early on, especially if he pushes out to here, especially with Camille. So what I would have done is level 1, go into this bush before the minions arrive. And once the minions do arrive, what you do is you pull them in. And
Okay.
then what that does is essentially slow pushes it into you. And what you can do is take E level 1 actually and go for some heavy trades. Because level 1, you have your magic shield. So if you E onto Vladimir, he can't really trade back to you. He only has his autos, which don't really hurt too much. And you also started Corrupting Pot in this matchup, which is okay. But combined with the fact that you took Resolve secondary, you just don't have much like kill potential.
Damage.
Yeah, yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, because
So with
Vladimir is pretty
unsealed,
much like you have to kind of you have to just kind of do damage in order to kill him, right? Because like he has so much sustain with his
right?
Doran shield and his Qs that if you don't do enough damage, he's just gonna sustain. And usually, if you trade farm with Vladimir, it's not too great for Camille. I think that this matchup is a matchup that you should pressure early on, especially when on the Seal Spellbook you have Ignite. So you push level 1 and then you take W, which W doesn't really do much against Vladimir. Like he's already healed back up from it. And pretty much what you could be doing is pushing the first 2 waves and hard crashing it into tower. So like
Okay.
the way top lane works, if you hard shove the wave like you did, you could just have this wave bounce into tower and then bounce back out to you, and then you can freeze from there. That is an option that you can do.
Okay.
So you go for an E. That actually was a good trade opportunity just because he was still level 1. So that should have been a decent trade for you, but ended up missing the E. Um, okay. Just like try to wait out for his like auto or something when he's going for a creep, and then it makes it really easy to land that E. But anyways,
Gotcha.
this guy is standing like so like you're over here. Um, it's pretty easy to dodge for him honestly. Like good
Okay.
Vladimirs, like if I play against like Flame and like
Hmm.
Darshan, I played with them a couple times. What they'll do is they'll position themselves like right here. Okay, so what this
Gotcha.
does is you can use this wall to jump off, but by the time you arrive here, they have so much time, right? Like they have this whole distance for you to travel,
Sure.
and then they have that time to dodge that. That's why like the Vladimir was able to just kind of sidestep it. And what this does is it also you could try to jump off this wall, but by the time your E reaches, that also takes a really long time. So that's pretty much like what Vladimirs are supposed to do. They kind of like stand in this line,
Hmm.
so they hug the wall away from you, but uh, they hug the wall close to the other side of you, and they stay away from this side. So that guy is actually doing a decent job of positioning himself like that. Anyways, oh, oops. You go for the E and the missing out. You have the magic shield, so it doesn't matter too much in terms of the trade aspect. And this wave's like perfectly where Vladimir wants to be. You see how this wave is positioned? Like
Yeah.
there's zero way that a Jarvan can gank this Vladimir, right? Because
Hmm.
she's so close to tower. And this is like most range matchups for top lane. A lot of range top laners, especially early game, love to just kind of freeze in front of their tower and just make sure that they don't die from ganks. And this goes as well for Gangplank, like champions that don't have escapes early on. This is like ideal positioning for them. And Camille doesn't have the best ability, like especially like champions like Jax, Irelia. Like if the wave's in this kind of position, they can't really trade too well, because bruisers like Jax, Irelia, Camille kind of have to chase people down to do enough damage, right? But once you E in, that Vladimir's just gonna run him back into turret, and you can't really do much. But this guy actually E's, and this is shoving out to you. And at this point, your choice is, your wave positioning should be to just let this push into you rather than shove back out. So you got a decent trade on him. Looks like he will be popping his potion. But you see how you took him to half health, and you don't even have resolve. Like you barely have any AD. You have 73 AD. So like if you had sorcery, you would have had like 80. I think it gives you 13 AD. So you'd have had 86, and combined with like Scorch, you would have done a lot more damage to him. And this is with you missing that E earlier too, right?
Right. Yeah.
So like had those things gone differently, like this guy was probably within like kill range.
Sure.
Because like in this matchup, as you can tell, like you barely had to use potions, right? You still have 2 potions. Like this is not a matchup that Camille gets pressured early on, because Vladimir's early game is pretty weak.
Right.
So this is a matchup that you have to pressure early on as Camille.
Sure. So do you typically go sorcery second if you do the unsealed?
Yeah. If you take inspiration at all on Camille, like either unsealed spellbook or klepto, I think taking sorcery is the best secondary. The only exception is that if I do go klepto and I'm in like a lane that like is really, I guess, like not too easy early on, and I just want to farm, then you can go inspiration resolve and just have that super sustain and tankiness. But yeah, unsealed spellbook is, especially with you going ignite early game with it, like your whole purpose is to try to like pressure kills early on, right? So taking sorcery is definitely the best choice. And I'm assuming you're maxing in this matchup. Okay, cool. So right here, do you ward anywhere? When did you use your
warded?
Okay, so you warded here. Okay. So you know that Skarner started bot side in this game, and he will be pathing top side, and your ward's about to run out. So let's turn Fog of War on. And in terms of CS wise, you guys have about even, and look how the wave is, like the lane is playing out. He's pretty much farming under his tower. It looked like he already is back to full health, right? You got him to half, but since the wave is positioned so close to his tower, he's able to just freely Q every time it's up, and you can't really zone him from any CS, and you can't really even look for trades against him, because first of all, if you E into him and Skarner shows up, you could die, and even if you E into him, Vladimir can just safely run back to his tower and not really take much of a trade. So that's why I'm saying this lane should be played on over here for you.
Right.
Because if
so how do I break that freeze more?
If you want to break that freeze, then you have to reset it. What that means is you have to hard shove that wave and then let that crash into this tower. So as I said at about 3-minute mark, I think, right here you could have reset it. This is a easy reset, but instead I think you choose to, so this is actually bouncing out to you, right? Because these minions are gonna group over here, and then they're gonna meet these creeps over right here, right?
Okay.
And when that happens, what happens is that, so like these melees, sure, they lost a little bit of health, but that doesn't matter, because what's gonna happen is that since the minions are meeting here, his minions, which are like these minions coming out, and then his minions over here, they're gonna arrive before your minions. So all you have to do is not hit. Yeah, all you have to do is just last hit. If you only last hit these creeps and not try to W him and in the process of hitting the Vladimir or anything like that, that should push back out.
Okay. So
But
if
instead,
if I trade at all,
mhm,
I need to make sure not to hit the minions.
you can trade. Yeah, you can trade, but you can't really like hit the minions. So right
I
here, you're going for W, hitting the creeps.
Yeah.
Why does it keep going to this camera? How do I turn? Hold, give me a second. Manual camera. There we go. So look at this creep wave. He has way more casters than your side. So this is
Right.
shoving back out to you. And what in this case, what you want to do, right? As someone who wants to freeze it over here, you need to trim this wave. Look at this wave. There's way too many casters, and what happens if you don't trim this now is that he builds such a gigantic wave that you can't trade with them because he'll have too many minion advantage. And what he can do is he can build that wave and then crash it into your tower and then reset it.
Gotcha.
And then just back, or he can just have another neutral lane. But you W the creeps, which is good, but then you're autoing these creeps down, and you can still freeze this wave. As you can see, he has but now you're pretty much out of mana. You have one pot left, and this was due to the fact that you just kept Wing him, right? Like over here,
Right.
which is just meaningless. Like you doubling him, Vladimir over here it just does nothing. Especially
Gotcha.
since you're running Unseal Spellbook, the W doesn't even have combat attached to it, and
Right.
the W like that you are doing here are all just mana drains. They're pointless.
Okay.
Like those W's might matter against like if you're playing against someone who doesn't have any sustain, but against Vladimir it's pointless. So you should be saving your mana to point where you can have the wave in a spot where you want it to be, and then you just go for heavy trades against Vlad. Because if you take one heavy trade against Vlad, you can get him down to maybe half, and maybe make him use his pool, and then with your next rotation with your ignite, you can kill him.
Right.
But
That makes
this,
sense.
yeah, but the fighting the war of attrition against Vladimir is just like fighting to his win condition, because he's a resourceless champion that has sustain. And at this
That
point,
makes sense.
and at this
So
point,
with all,
Mhm.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, okay. So at this point, you don't have any mana, and your best bet is to probably have to you probably have to just recall and get a teleport shard, which means that you'll lose a lot of kill pressure as well. Wait, does that Scorch? I think that was Scorch. Wasn't that
don't think
Scorch?
that's it.
I saw the Scorch animation.
Huh.
Oh, is that Corrupting Potion? Oh, it might be Corrupting Potion. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead with your point.
I was just the basically what you're saying. What you typically want to do against sustained champs is you get the wave in a position where you can take longer, heavier trades.
Yep, exactly.
In a longer lane.
Because
Okay.
if you don't do that, and you have the wave positioned over here, as you can see, like Vladimir can just freely farm under tower and just Q and just get health back, and that's pretty much what it is. Like against like champions such as like Gangplank as well. Gangplank, his ideal situation is he wants to have the wave positioned right here, and then keep it frozen right early game, because he's a champion that doesn't have any escapes. He has pretty good sustain with his oranges and his corrupting pot, and the most ideal position for these champions that have kind of a scary early game because they don't have escapes, like if they have the wave frozen like right here against like Irelia, Jax, Camille, like that's just ideal for them. So on the flip side, your win condition is to have the wave freeze on your side, so that you can either call your jungler over for kills, because Vladimir and Gangplank both don't have escapes. Vladimir does have pool, but that doesn't really mean that he's going to be safe from this long lane that is top lane. If the wave is positioned over here, and imagine if you had full mana right now, like you can definitely go for heavy trades and try to kill him in this position, because you are maxing E, you have 12-second cooldown on hookshot, right? And Vladimir pool is 26 second cooldown. So best case scenario for Vlad, you E him and he pulls the first one, and then for the next 14 seconds after your hookshot comes back up, you're free to go on him, and he doesn't have pool. And Vlad is not really a champion that can just sit there and trade with Camille when Camille's in her face with the E. So that's why you want the wave to be positioned this way against a ranged champion like Vladimir. And this goes same for champions like Rise top, which is pretty rare. But any champions that really, you know, have good sustain, and that because usually these type of champions, like that have really amazing sustain, don't have the ability to take you on in a extended fight, right? Like
Yeah.
they can't, like you can just, if they let you, you can just beat their face in if you manage to sick on them. So
Right.
yeah. So right now you do have minion dematerializer. I think this is a wave that you should really push in
Okay.
and not back. So I would use the dematerializer and just shove this in really hard and make it hard reset, because you do have a lot of creeps on your side, and this is a wave that Vladimir can't really deal with too well. So right here, you have to recall. There's no point in walking this wave in, because Vladimir
Okay.
can't freeze. So this should have been time, like right as soon as you if you did use dematerializer, this wave would have been even. Oh, I guess you do use it on the caster, but yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
So right here, pushing that wave in, I recall immediately, because Vlad can't
Okay.
tank this wave. So 626 you could have backed, but instead you end up start recalling at. So that's 12 seconds lost, which means that that could have been a time that you could have went back and not missed XP in. So let's see what you do here. You get a Sheen. This your buys need to be quicker also. Try to have a habit of running to the edge of the base and then buying
Okay.
to save time. So you get to lane. So imagine if you recall 12 seconds earlier, like I said, then you would have been here to catch like 2-3 more XPs, right? Which is a big
Yeah.
deal in top lane. Like 3 minion XP difference is pretty significant. Not even just the gold. The gold is a cherry on the cake. Like XP is really valuable early game. And right now the wave's in a good position for you. You shouldn't push this. I wouldn't auto any of these. So right here you're autoing it and just pushing it out, and that's just, there's just no point for that. And you go for a trade. Gets him down to about 60%, which is not bad, and you have the wave positioned pretty well. Okay, you go for a trade. Let's rewind that and play it slower. So right here, why ult him early? The Vladimir is pretty much right on top of you, right?
Yeah. So I was thinking he might flash over that wall, so I was trying to predict his flash.
But right here, he's at about 400, 500 health, and he has stopwatch. So if you ult him here, like you can't really quite kill him. So
Gotcha.
what I would have done is, if we rewind a little bit, right here, just go on him, and this is a good trade. This is a pretty good trade, and you can't quite kill Vladimir at like 500 health when he has stopwatch like that. At the
Right.
best case scenario, you can get his like flash or stopwatch out. Both of them is pretty good too, and yeah, like you're already on top of him, right? Right here, you're already on top of him, and using W like this is a huge mistake for Camille. This is a huge DPS loss. So you just hit him with the E, right?
Yeah.
You have your attack speed buff. Why W?
Oh, that's a good point.
So you should only like if you know for sure you're gonna take like a big fight, you should only W at the end of your trade or at the beginning of your trade. So right here, since you open up with E, which is fine, all you have to do is you just keep autoing him. Just orb walk after each auto with your attack speed, which is buffed. You just keep autoing him, and if he ever gets out of your reach, that's when you W.
Gotcha.
So, like Wing like this loses you a lot of DPS.
Yeah.
And this could have been a solo kill if you managed your whoa, what happened to your E there?
I think I tried to.
Oh, did you E into the wall by mistake?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I hooked it like right above the that tree. And so yeah, I kind of fizzled early.
Okay.
So it wasn't a good one. I was trying to get the corner up closer to the turret.
Okay. Well, Skarner messes up and ends up going in and kind of killing him. Looks like he's gonna die. I actually think that you could have went back in.
Yeah, after
so right here, Skarner already used all of his cooldowns, and you're still at 300 health, and you also have your passive shield up. There's no reason
I could have definitely gone back in.
Yeah. So that's just pretty much like almost 2 kills missed from just mechanical misplay. The Fizz does come, and even like say you went in and Fizz killed you. The thing is, these two guys are still full health, and they can clean up if the Fizz hard commits. So that should have been definitely a kill for you guys.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I kind of want to watch that Vlad fight again. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
So right there, you also missed an auto. So whenever you E into people like that,
auto and then use.
Yeah, you should always take advantage of the fact that your Q is auto reset.
Sure. Yeah.
Right, even right here, you just queued instead of auto queuing. So there's like a lot of DPS that's going to waste. But anyways, looks like Jarvan ends up dying here. And this is a killing goal right here. Wait, why don't you go for this kill?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I noticed that he started tanking it, and then I went back.
Okay.
Yeah, it just took me a second. I should have been on it sooner.
Because right here, as soon as he pulls, that's your go time. As soon as Vladimir pulls like that, your E.
Yeah.
Because you're maxing E, and your E is much lower cooldown than his pull. And as soon as he uses that pull, my reaction is, alright, well, you're dead as soon as you come out of it, because he already used both sums. He doesn't have flash. There's no way for him to really juke your E. So like there's no point to run away. Like you can just stay right here and just E onto him. Even if he didn't tank the creeps, you would have killed him either way.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But anyways, this guy messes up really hard, and you end up getting the kill. And I would shove this out.
Okay.
Right here.
Even at my low health without knowing where Skarner is?
Yeah, because Skarner already used his ult.
Okay.
And you have really good vision coverage, right? Like you already have this warded, you have river warded. So as long as you don't use your E to farm there, you can get that creep wave. So the wave doesn't end up being in a bad spot for you anyways. But the thing is, you can grab that wave and crash that creep wave into the Vladimir. So you don't really lose much.
Could have been more
yeah, a little bit better. You get Merc Treads. In this matchup, I actually think that getting like a Merc Treads is definitely good against their team to get eventually. But I think this is a matchup that like brute force matters a lot. And I think getting like a tier 1 boots and then just finishing just rushing Triforce better. Because if you did get a kill, and this is a matchup that if you do snowball in, there's like nothing that Vladimir can do anymore, right?
Sure.
And so right there, you go for an E. So those kind of E's are always ill-advised just because of how long it takes. Like you have to throw your hook. So like Vladimir, as soon as you start throwing this hook shot, he can react.
Right.
And what I what I would suggest is position yourself closer to a wall
Okay.
so that you can do a fast E, and he can't dodge.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is a kind of an awkward spot for Camille, like this kind of like middle in the lane,
Sure.
just because there's no walls around her. Like that's close. Like you can stick to here, but the thing is, if the Vladimir's smart, if you stick here, then he'll stick here. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah.
The most ideal spot is usually like, let's see, kind of like here in the lane, where if the wave is positioned, kind of like here, and then Vladimir, and then you can use this wall like closely, and he can go all the way here, right, to try to avoid your E. But
Right.
in that case, what you can do is you just run up to him, right? And then what can Vladimir do? He can run out this way, but the thing is, you can take a diagonal approach, and there's no way he outruns you. And at that point, what you do is you use this wall to E, and he will pull, right, to dodge your E. And then once that happens, you rinse and repeat the same scenario, but his pull's on a 26-second cooldown.
Sure.
So there's
so
if you play
waiting
that,
out his
yeah,
W
if you
and
play that
getting-
right, then this guy cannot even stay in this lane with how
Right.
the items are playing out. So things like that.
Okay.
I don't think people pay attention enough to like kind of like forcing your opponent to be in a certain spot. This happens for mid lane too. So like, let's take for example mid lane. Oops. So what people do a lot, like in high elo, and what they do is like, say your Rise, right, and your Jarvan's on top side and trying to gank. What they'll do is they'll position themselves like over here, and they'll pressure the enemy to the left side where the Jarvan is.
I see.
So stuff like that, you can kind of like dance around your opponent and pressure them into a spot that you want. And like this spot right here, where you can pressure the Vladimir into, you know, away from this wall, because if you stick close to this wall and you E in, if Vladimir is anywhere in this radius, it's pretty hard for him to dodge that, right? Because if you stick close to the wall and you just insta E, like there's very little reaction time for him, so he has to stay outside this radius, like over here. And in which that case, if the minion wave is positioned over this way, in order for him to really farm, since these are your creeps, right? Like this is the enemy creeps, he has to come all the way over here, right? That's that's Vladimir's positioning in order to farm only. And the moment he steps into this radius is the moment that you can E out and go for an E on him.
That's it. Right, and even if I miss, that means that he has an extremely long lane to work around.
Yep. And as soon as you get that pull out, you buy yourself like a not 26 second, because obviously your hook shot does have a cooldown, but you have a very long period of time where you can just like zone the Vladimir from CS and maybe even XP.
Okay.
So this wave is way too big. You have to cut this wave down a little bit, because you see how many casters there are?
Yeah.
If this wave keeps going like this, then it can crash into your tower. But yeah, I would just like trim a couple of these creeps right here.
Trim it a little more. Okay.
Because at this point, like there's so many creeps that if you do go for a trade on Vlad might win it because of how many creeps there are. And the Jarvan is coming in, so that doesn't matter too much. But yeah, in the future reference, like if you're trying to freeze up a wave, these are like way too many creeps. So you do a nice E. So you see how like since you were close to the wall, he had no really time to sidestep it. I mean, he can react to it in time to pull, but he can't really react in time to sidestep it because your E was very good. You were close to the wall, and it was a lot quicker than like if you were to like E from here to here. So you get a nice kill. But as you can see, imagine if you trimmed that wave. Imagine if you trimmed that wave right earlier. What that would have done is say you killed like half of those casters right here a little bit earlier. Now what that would have done is during this gank, this creep wave would have stayed here.
Right.
and that would have let you like get an indefinite freeze going. And after you kill Vlad, since you don't have Tiamat to properly reset the wave, you can just freeze it, leave it frozen and back. Now Vladimir might TP and break that freeze, but that's still okay because you're forcing him to teleport. So it's just like a trade of, you should always be looking to manage the wave correctly. But since you didn't trim this wave, you do get the kill, but first of all, you miss out on some creeps because they hit tower while you're killing him, and also now you can't really get a freeze going.
Right.
And as you can see, like now you're in a really awkward spot, right? Like,
yeah,
if you leave this and go back, this is going to slow push out to Vladimir because these creeps met not in the middle, but on your side.
Right.
So if you didn't touch these creeps and backed, this would slow push out, so which is bad for you. But if you try to push this out, it's a cannon wave with a Tiamat-less Camille. This takes forever.
Right.
And you can't really properly reset that well. And so those are like the little things that you might not notice. Like, oh, if I, like right there, if you trimmed that wave, then you would have had a much better back. But now look at since this is a cannon wave and you're Tiamat-less Camille, you have to push an extra wave here.
Yeah.
And Vladimir, for some reason, TP'd bots, which is really good for you. He should have TP'd top. Like, look at this wave. What is Vladimir TPing for? And you should call your jungle over right here. This is a really bad mistake.
Okay.
You really need to take that tower right there. And what I would have considered too is honestly recalling and switching your flash for TP because you have a summoner shard.
Yeah.
And look how low they are. Vladimir 80 health. These two guys have like no. This guy has no mana, 400 health, like, and like every cooldown's down, I guess, except for Ashol. But if you TP, if you TP, then that's a free. You get at least like 1 or 2 kills because you have flash and ultimate, and you save the tower on top of that. What would have been ideal is if Jarvan stayed and kept pushing that wave instead of recalling, because Jarvan recalling doesn't do anything. But you can't really dictate what your jungler is gonna do other than like spam ping to hit the tower.
Right. Because if you communicated that
because if you guys tower race here with Jarvan, actually, I don't think. I don't know if these guys would have been able to take tower if they all stayed, because the Jarvan is going back. Oh wow, they did take. Okay, so they did take it. So yeah, that might have been a better call to back and change your flash for TP and TP bot.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, but that's a pretty tough choice to make, just because it's like very spontaneous decision that you have to make. But you do get the trade on the tower, which is good, and you have enough for pretty much a phage. So imagine if you didn't buy Merc Treasure, right? So that's 800 gold you save on, which means that you would have had 2300 gold, right?
Right.
And you bought a longsword Sheen, which means that the Triforce should cost 2,300, which is exactly what you would have had if you didn't buy Mercs. So after you take this tower, and I wouldn't push this wave right here.
Okay.
This is a lot of mistakes that people make. So you have 4 creeps, which is not that many, and this is a cannon wave. And what will happen if you don't touch this wave is that sure, maybe 1 or 2 melees die here, but since it's a cannon wave and his minions are right behind, coming in, this will end up slow pushing to you.
I see. Okay.
And since it's a cannon wave, as I said, you're Tiamat-less Camille, and you can't reset this properly.
Right.
And not backing here is just a really greedy mistake. If you have no vision coverage of Skarner, he already backed a long time ago from bot lane, right?
Right.
And if Skarner shows up here, you die. He has ultimate,
Right.
he has ghost. And you have a 2-0 kill lead. So this is really irresponsible. Right after here, taking the tower instead of taking that cannon wave, you really needed to back. Because if you had backed, and as I've said, if you didn't go for the Merc Tread buy, you would have had Triforce on your way back. That's a 14-minute Triforce.
Yeah.
There's nothing Vlad can do against that. And you just take over the game. Because what happens in this game, if you take Triforce and you left the wave frozen, if you didn't farm those creeps right there, right here, that means that the wave will end up somewhere right here, and you come back, right? And you have Triforce. And Vladimir can't walk up to even CS. And at that point, your choice, you can either choose to either freeze the Vlad out of existence, or you can go into enemy jungle. Because this jungle is free for you if you have Triforce. There's nothing. Like Vladimir and Skarner can't even 2v1 you at that point. And at that point, since they can't really do anything to you, you can just freely walk into their jungle, right? And ward right here. So this bush, right? And what you can do is, since Vladimir can't even walk to lane to contest you, you can leave the wave frozen and just roam into enemy jungle and just look for a pick on Skarner, because you'd be probably like level 11 with Triforce to Skarner's Cinderhulk. And you can choose to roam mid. Fizz is a little hard to kill, but if he ever goes aggro on Rise, you can impact that. But you see what I mean though? Like, sure, you won lane in this game, but you're not really spreading that impact anywhere else.
That makes sense.
And little things like that, like the when to freeze, when to just back, when to just leave the wave, when to trim the wave, little things like that matter a lot. So you decide to run bot. What was your decision making to run bot?
Typically whenever I take.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, this one was awful. I do that sometimes where I
run bot, kind of like a Rengar gank, lane gank.
Well, no. This is just me not looking at the time.
Okay.
Usually by the time I take turret, it's near 20 minutes with Baron up, so that's usually a good time to go bot and start splitting. But I wasn't looking at the time, so that's really more of the issue there. And then, yeah, this was just a very interesting play by my part.
Yeah, so the reason why you shouldn't run bot is because look at where the
wave top.
Look at where the wave top is positioned at, and look how much stronger you are compared to Vladimir.
Yeah.
Like, why not just go back top? You have such a good wave setup. Just freeze him out of existence. Instead, what ends up happening, since you went bot and wasted a lot of time, Vladimir, Skarner's here. I don't even know where Vladimir is. But you end up living, but you end up blowing flash, and not only flash, you also have to TP top, and you lost a bunch of creeps as well.
Yeah.
And look at that. Because of that bad roam, you can't buy Triforce. I honestly would have sold the Corrupting Pot and Broken Stopwatch for the Triforce component, because like this point, Corrupting Pot doesn't really do much.
Right.
And you can just go on him right here. Really easily.
Oh, just because I have like that.
Yeah, you have such a big goal lead. You have 2 levels up on him. Why not just take a trade?
That's true.
You see everyone on the map. You just saw Skarner on Drake.
That's a good point.
He shouldn't even be in XP range. Wait, hold up. Why not walk back into him and then ult? Oh, you don't have ult. Okay. You used it bot.
Yeah,
All right.
on that interesting play.
Yeah, just because you took top tower doesn't mean you should rotate bot.
Right, no, I agree. I was just not looking at the time.
Another kind of like factor of when to like switch between top bot is like if the lane isn't like a good matchup for you. But like this matchup right now is like you have 2 levels up. There's no reason to swap this matchup.
Right.
You can like just pretty much snowball your lead because this is a it's a matchup that if Camille ever gets ahead, there's nothing Vlad can do. So there's really not reason for you to leave top lane and give Vlad a favorable matchup.
Right.
But right here, he doesn't have pool. You could go for a dive since you see everyone on the map. I actually would have gone for a dive. Let's see what you do.
Okay.
So first of all, taking those 2 tower shots actually hurts a lot.
Right.
Vlad does have ultimate, so whoa, what happened? Shit. No. Past that. Oh, did you go bot?
Let's see. It should be.
Oh, this was a while back.
Around, yeah, it was like 18 minutes, I think.
I think you get his pool out again.
A quick question too. Can Vlad's W remove Camille's ult?
Only if he pulls as you ult.
Okay, because I think later in the game that happened, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so it works the same with like Fizzy and Zanya's. So like if they Zanya's or like Fizzy or Vlad W's when you're in the air, then the Camille ult is useless.
So
but he can if he pulls after getting ulted, he won't be able to get out of it.
Okay.
So right here, what I would do is he doesn't have pool, and what you need to do against Vlad is burst him because he has his ultimate, right? After 4 seconds, it heals him. He doesn't have pool. I think this thing is bugged. Pretty sure he doesn't have pool. If you go 15 seconds back.
Yeah, I think I do end up diving in, but it was too late.
Yeah,
his pool came up right at the end.
So
of the fight,
this is how you do this dive as Camille. All you have to do is walk up to the tower, Q it. You Q it once, and then you get your second Q ready.
Yeah.
And then as soon as your second Q is ready to go, you E in, auto Q. You can even throw your W before your E so that it all hits at the same time. And what Vlad can do, since he doesn't have pool, is he could flash your E. And if he does flash your E, what happens? Like, you don't lose anything.
Right.
So that's all you have to do. You don't have to W him here. I would just walk up to the tower, Q it, and then prep my second Q.
Okay.
Like, doing this kind of trade is really bad.
Right. No, yeah. I was a little upset with myself after that one.
Yeah. But that's okay. So yeah, like, when you go for dives like that on Camille, what I really like to do is just like prep up my Q on either a minion or a tower. Because if you just lead with an E, that means that you usually have to wait for your second Q to be ready, which means that you're like tanking so many tower shots, right? And especially against someone like Vlad, who has like burst healing like that, it's a really good idea to charge up your Q if you are going for a dive. And this is also a game that like you haven't really had any game. Like I haven't seen you like you won top lane, like you took tower very early, and I haven't seen you like roam into his jungle like the enemy jungle once and ward.
Okay, so that's like the big thing to help like influencing it.
So every time like your top lane is either frozen or you just reset it into his tower, you can spend that time getting good wards in, and these 2 spots are really good.
Yeah, so just to help the team know where people are.
Yeah, and another thing is that if you have these wards in, that means that you can freely walk in without
Sure.
like being in danger of getting picked off. And what that allows you to do is you can run all the way here from top lane to here to right here into Raptors, and if Fizz ever uses his cooldowns, you just E in and you kill him.
Okay.
And if you do that, then now you've got mid tower, you've gotten a kill for your mid laner. And also what could happen is, since if you have these wards into the top lane, all right, if you have these wards into their deep jungle, your jungler can walk in to the enemy top jungle as well, like freely, without being in danger of getting picked off by Skarner, because you have really such good deep wards. And what you can do is you can just dominate the side of the map, and you could even have your jungler dive the Vladimir with you under tower. You could 3-man dive Fizz. Like, it opens up so much. And what it does is it really constricts the enemy jungle's movements. So like if you have all of this warded, like what can Skarner do? He can try to make a play bot side, but then your team will know he's on bot side. If you never see him on these zones that you have with these wards, then okay, well, Skarner's bot side.
Right.
So things like that, like it really opens up your map for your team, and kind of like chokes out the enemy team. And that's what we really need to do if you're winning a lane. If you're winning in a lane, like that doesn't mean that you should stay in that lane and just not move. You really need to like get advantages for your teams, whether that's through roams, warding, TPs. Like, it's just like having a game impact.
I see.
And it's really frustrating for a jungler to have a lane lose, and then that the enemy laner just run into your jungle and ward, because it cuts off so many plays from for you, right? Like it's a lesser degree for top lane, but for mid it's even more important, because like if mid starts losing and the enemy mid just runs in here, like wards, like top lane is a little harder to ward, just because obviously you have to go in deeper and it takes longer to ward, but it's the same concept.
Okay.
Like this game, like sure, you have a 30 CS lead, you have 2 kills, but you haven't had really a game impact at all. Neither did Vlad. But but that just means that you're coin flipping. You're coin flipping for whose teammates are better at this point. You're not really putting yourself at over 50% chance to win this game.
Right.
And really the easiest way to win league game is just, winning your lane and just winning the other lanes for your team. That's literally the easiest way to win. Because if you have 5 fed members rather than just like you being super fed, the game is so much easier, because then they can't just focus one person. I don't know what this Skarner is doing. But you get a kill. It's nice. You should get tower. And at this point, sure, you can like team fight pretty well and roam pretty well, but like you see how many opportunity windows like that you miss, like in terms of whether it comes from wave management, like mechanic wise, like solo, like a couple of these like fights, skirmishes, early games, like so many of these things like pile up. And like honestly, if you played those situations correctly, you might honestly have like 8 kills at this point, and in which point the game is just over. And you just really need to look to push like every advantage possible, like especially with the wave management and warding. Like your influence this game has just only been limited to your lanes. Like it's just here. Like let's trace where you've gone this game. Like you've went there, you never went into his jungle, and then you went bot. You see what I'm saying? Like you've never been to enemy jungle, never really roam like mid or TP bot or anything like that. So
Okay.
do you have anything like specific you want to work on, like team fighting, etc.?
Um,
Because I think your mechanics, like Camille mechanic wise, you were pretty fine, other than like couple
okay.
missed autos and that like one bad W.
Yeah.
I think like laning wise and mechanical, like your CS was pretty good.
I know it can be better though. That's
150.
not great.
I mean, the thing is, the 150 CS. Imagine if you manage those waves better, you'd probably be like
Sure.
180, 190, and
Yeah,
that's
it'd
not
be a
even
lot
like
closer.
oh, I could have like CS better. It's just like if you manage the waves better, then you would have CS better. It's not even like oh, I kind of missed like couple CS by mistake. Like we're human, like people make CSing mistakes, and those aren't really like improvable other than just like you improving at CS. But the wave management part is very easy to improve because that's just like that's just really easy to improve a CS in. It's just wave management.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I guess one of the things is just like knowing, and you're gonna have to forgive my fight with this Fizz here in a second.
Uh-huh.
I'll let you watch this and laugh here in a second. I got a little impatient. I dodged and I used the Q early, and then I tried to flash his stuff.
Okay.
And I died. Yeah, I'll let you comment on that first, and I'll ask the question. The main thing here is I needed to be patient with my Q, and I would have killed him. I think that's probably the easiest way to sum it up.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you end up using your double Q, which is a which is a big
little
no-no.
impatient. But I guess I have sometimes like a hard time figuring out if I should be primarily split pushing some games or trying to team fight more. Because there's sometimes where like this game it's like, well crap, our mid fed the Fizz, and Fizz is huge, and their team.
Oh, but look at it this way. Look at it this way. Like barring all the little things that we talked about, which could have gotten you a bigger advantage.
Yeah.
You still almost 1v1 the Fizz.
Yeah. No, I do later on too. I do beat him, but yeah.
And imagine if like those little mistakes and piled up, and also like this 1v1 could have went better. Imagine you were able to just constantly smash whoever is in your side lane. Why group? There's no point. They have a Tom Catch. Yeah. And they have a lot of CC. And Vladimir is a better team fighter than Camille because he does a lot of AoE damage. So
that was what I was thinking this game.
Yeah, so if you get ahead enough on yourself, they have no way to deal with you.
Right.
It might be a little hard to dive a Fizz or a Vlad, but you should still be able to do it if you're far enough ahead. And that's your win condition, is to just split against this team.
Right.
Because Vladimir, pretty weak side lane pressure, especially if the Camille's like fed enough, which you were, and you could have been more fed.
Sure.
So if you're having trouble like figuring out whether you should team fight or split or anything like that, just look at the team. Like make sure before you even load in, like while you're in loading screen, just think to yourself, like analyze the team comps. Like what do I have to do? If the enemy team has like Alistair Vayne, right? Like, or like Janna Vayne or stuff like that, like which you can't really do much against. Like Camille like can't really kill like an AD carry if they have like a Trist Vayne, like, or like Janna, Alistair, like against those comps. And if they have like a Cho'Gath as their top laner, you probably have to just split all game. Because if you team fight, you're just gonna go in and you're just gonna get CC to death.
Right.
So just think about that before the game even starts, because if you think about that before the game starts, then now you don't waste time in game like worrying about whether I should do this or that. Should I build Ravenous Hydra? Should I build Titanic Hydra? So it's just like, as long as you pre-plan this, like you like the rest of it is just gonna like you're gonna have to just think about how should I do this, whether instead of asking yourself whether I should do this, and you can just play better that way.
I see. Okay.
It's the same as like thinking about how you want to have your wave position. Like against Vladimir, as I've told you, like you want to have the wave position this way. Like before the game even starts, think about that. And before the game even starts, also look at your jungle, like jungle matchup. Like you have a Jarvan who started bot side, right? So you have a pretty good ganking jungler who started bot side for you. So like level 3, he's gonna be up top side, which means that there's even more reason to freeze early game.
That makes sense.
So just like things like this should just be like thought of before the game starts, because once the game does start, you should be thinking about other stuff instead of this kind of stuff, right?
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Wait, why don't you go for the Ashe right here?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I think I just sometimes my deciding if I should go or not takes a little longer than it should.
Cool. Yeah, as soon as you see the Tahm Kench not group with the Ashe, that's just time to go.
Right. I also didn't know she was going to leave.
I think you could have helped out here. I think you could have definitely helped out here.
Gone back to mid after I killed the Ashe.
So right, so after you kill Ashe, I would look over here. Vlad already ulted. Vlad's at half health, and they got Skarner with Vlad and Tahm Kench. And as soon as they start diving for inner tower, that's your time to go. You have red buff. You are regening. Like you are a little low, but you can hit them with W, and you have your passive shield. And this is very very easily clean upable by you.
Okay. Especially since they dove in between towers.
Looks like you guys do get one. But at this point, the game is just in a bad spot for you guys because you can't reliably 1v1 the Fizz anymore. He's 9-1. You are pretty strong, but look at the gold difference. He has 1,000 gold over you. And you might have said this game, oh, like my mid fed too hard, but look at how much like you could have been more fed in.
Right. That makes sense.
And the thing is, you could have helped your teammates get more fed with your roams and your like vision setup, etc. Like you never know. It's like a butterfly effect, you know, like having these warded, having roam mid. Maybe Ryze gets fed off your roams, and maybe Ryze roams bot. Maybe you providing these visions lets Jarvan make better plays around the map. So like everything just like has like a butterfly effect that you do.
Right.
And at this point, you do have teleport, and your best bet is to just like tell your team, hey, don't fight, just make sure they don't Baron at this point of the game. And you have to split and pretty much try to 1v1 the Fizz if possible. This matchup is honestly not really looking good for you though at this point. Oh wow, you actually do get him.
Yeah. Yep.
He has Ignite too. Damn, how did this play out? You missed your E. Okay.
Yeah, I missed my E, and then I tried to dodge.
So you also fucked up your ultimate. You could have.
I tried to dodge his.
Fish.
The fish up.
So
yeah,
the
that's what I
Fizz
was trying to do.
So the Fizz can actually outplay your outplay, by the way, in this 1v1 scenario.
Oh really?
So what he can do, well, he already used E, but what he could have done is hit you with a fish and just Zanya.
Ah, yeah.
Then you can't ult and you can't dodge the fish. But either way, he wow, he actually managed to kill him. Nice. Yeah, this matchup's kind of funky because of that. Because you can always ult the Fizz ult, but if he has E or Zanya's up, then you can't dodge it if the Fizz plays it correctly.
Yeah, this was a terrifying like 15 seconds.
Yeah. Wow, this guy is very committed.
Yeah, he chased me for a little while though.
Okay, so yeah, like this is what you need to do. This is your win condition. If you beat the Fizz in a side lane, that means that they're going to be sending multiple people after you, which means that the rest of your team can do some work. And where's the TP right here?
Yeah, I should TP'd. And then I got there way too late.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have gone in. at that point.
Yeah, I do think that your team kind of overstayed though, and things like that. Like, sure, you can't really dictate what your teammates are gonna do, but what you can do is just be aware, like have the awareness to just like ping them back, and just spam ping them. That's just like kind of like obviously there's no voice comms in League, but that's the best you can do. And if they don't listen, right? If they don't listen to your shot call to back off, then obviously it's not on you. But like little things like that, they might listen, and that could help you out. That could help your team out.
Right.
And you'll see me do this a lot in like low elo as well, like where I'll like try to like, you know, shot call my teammates like back up. Like if I'm in a challenger game, like I don't have to be as mindful, because like I trust my teammates to do like the smart thing. But if I'm playing in a low elo, I'll definitely like look to like babysit my teammates more.
Right.
And yeah, it's just like taking a more active approach to the game, instead of, you know, like taking the approach that like, okay, I'm just gonna do my job and just play and try to win, instead of doing that, like try to be better than your teammates, try to be the one that's shot calling, try to be the one that's carrying.
For sure, yeah. No, I totally agree. I want to get better, but that's definitely how I've been able to climb a little bit. It's just trying to be active and trying to carry some of the things that you think that your team should do, but you can do for them.
And right here, like I would have pinged my teammates to go in. Like Skarner was dead. Let's rewind a little bit. Skarner is dead for 10. Kench is walking up.
I think I did ping them. No, I was looking for the Fizz, but we waited too long. I think that's what happened.
Why not just engage right here? And it.
That's true. I could have done it.
It's 4v5, yeah.
I was just a little more worried about the Fizz blowing them up, since I knew I was like the only one that could.
So as soon as.
Them.
Oof.
Yeah, I barely missed that.
Okay.
But yeah, that might have been better just to try to get something off there before Skarner showed up. So I was able to keep the Fizz off, but then Skarner showed up and really made it difficult.
And this is a fight that you really need to be joining instead of taking this tower.
Okay.
Because look at where Ashe is. She's not even here. And this is a fight that you could have easily just dominate. I guess your team ends up winning really hard anyways. I don't know where Fizz is. Oh, Fizz is mid. Oh god, that teleport. Oh god, what's going on?
What was it mine?
Oh lordy. Oh, this is just a classic kind of Fiesta.
Yeah, I kind of panicked and like, okay, I need to get something off of this at this point.
So going back, let's go back here. So as soon as you shove that wave in, as soon as you see your teammates fighting, like this is time to go.
Okay.
And if you get there, you would have already gotten there by now. You can E on this wall, and it's a easy Tahm Kench kill.
Right.
You probably would have killed both of them, because the Tahm Kench ends up saving the Skarner. If you ulted the Tahm Kench, you would have killed both of them.
Right. But my only thing was like, if we did kill them with them pushing down mid, like what would be able to get in exchange?
Well, the thing is, after you guys killed 2, and then you can have all 5 people go bot, and they can't defend. They have 3 dead. They have Fizz and Ashe alive. Right?
Oh, just try to get everyone to come bot and then take that. And
you guys don't need to. You guys don't need to defend mid at all, because the inhib was just taken. So these aren't super waves at all. Even this wave is not a super wave. The next one is, which means that you don't have to send anyone there. And sure, top has a big wave, but you guys can all group and take this tower, and you can, at the worst case scenario, you can TP. And on the way back, you take Infernal on the way out of the Baron bot tower as well.
Okay, that makes sense. I feel like that'd be very difficult to convince like silver gold players that's the right option. There's like today,
Uh-huh.
I just in my past game had
Yeah.
seen decide we
That's
wanted to
just a
go like
little.
drag instead of use
Yeah,
Baron.
I guess this is just like a little bit too far-fetched for like low elo, like for you to expect like these other players to like react to properly.
Right.
So I'm not gonna go too far into detail about that, just because if this was like high elo, then yeah, like this is
That'd be the way
very
to do it.
relevant information. But I think in low elo, we should focus more on like your other like early game mistakes more. Because late game macro in silver and like gold, even like platinum and like low diamond, is just like sometimes just a complete like fiesta where you can't really dictate what the fuck is happening.
Yeah.
So so what you can control is your early game, and your
Yeah.
early game could have been controlled a lot better.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree.
So we can see the rest of the game how it plays out, but yeah, like the easily fixable mistakes are already something that we already covered.
Right, just to get me bigger, and then I'd be able to spread my influence
Yep.
more.
Yep.
Get vision in jungle,
Mhm.
make plays mid whenever
Yep.
I have.
Because I barely
quick
saw
then.
you. Because I barely saw you in laning phase putting trinkets down.
Yeah.
Even pinks also. Like I love pinking this bush
Yeah. No, I love that bush
on
too
blue side.
jungle.
And stuff like that. Like really need to spread your influence and have like either like I don't know if you had good opportunity for TPs. I didn't really look close because I was just looking top lane most of the times. But yeah, we really need to work on your wave management for sure.
Okay.
And have a direction, like have a before the game starts, like try to have a mindset of where do I want this wave to be, like at what points of the game.
Right.
So like because that position changes throughout the game, like depending on the matchup, whatever.
Mhm.
In some matchups you want to shove early, you want to freeze later. Like say for example Camille versus Riven matchup, I love going aggro in that matchup early, but then I have to kind of play safer later on. So that means that early game I'll be like pushing and pressuring hard, but then post level 6 I'll be more inclined to kind of try to freeze the wave and slow down the matchup. So just instead of just like going into lane and just blindly just pushing out the waves and just farming, just like have a purpose to each of your move. Like why am I pushing this wave? Am I pushing this wave because I want to reset this wave into tower and have it bounce back out so I can freeze it? Am I pushing it out just so I can reset and go back? Like always think like at least like 20-30 seconds ahead, and like the purpose of your move.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just really learn how to freeze properly. But like remember when you had that big ass wave that you didn't end up trimming out?
Right. Yeah.
The max, like I would say the max amount of caster minions that you want to have on the enemy side, when you like say like the enemy, you don't have any creeps and like they're already switching in, I would say like just try to like keep it to maybe like 5-6 caster minions. I think he had like 8 or something.
That makes sense.
Usually if you have like 4 full health minions,
Mhm.
like maybe like 1 melee and 3 casters, you can usually freeze it for pretty long. It'll break eventually,
Okay.
but
I think
you
I've
can
heard
freeze
that.
it. Yeah, but you
Okay.
can freeze it for pretty long. And to be even safer, you can even have like 6, and just like you can even tank them a little bit
Mhm.
in case they do kill your minions too quick. You can like tank it here, and then once your wave arrives, you just go back into the bush and drop aggro and things like that. Like freezing the wave, like you end up being 1 level up from the Vladimir, but this is a matchup that you could have put the Vladimir down like 3 levels.
Right.
So the game at this point is really not there aren't going to be really mistakes that I can really like tell you, oh, you should have team fight like this, better like that. I think we should focus on your laning more first and
Okay.
your game impact.
Okay.
But
just getting ahead more in lane and then
Yeah, yeah,
spreading that influence a little bit more, and that'll help
yeah.
probably.
So if you have any other further questions, I can take them now.
Okay.
Do you have any other special questions?
No, that was really helpful on the ultimate, just interactions there.
Okay.
Because sometimes I just, I picked up Camille at the beginning of December
Uh-huh. Yeah,
after watching you play for a little while.
she's hard. She's hard.
Right. Well, yeah, it's great. Like I'll watch your stream and I'll pick up a lot of stuff from you. But yeah, there's just some things like playing it, you don't know like
Yeah,
how
like
your ult's gonna react, when your E's gonna fizzle out from a dash, and all that stuff. So
yeah, she's a champion that has a lot of depth for sure.
No, that's why I picked her out. She's great. I love
yeah.
I love Camille.
But hopefully that session was nice and helpful. Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a follow-up session, like maybe like a couple weeks from now, and see how you improved on the wave stuff, we can definitely do that. I'm gonna save this video anyways, so like we can even reference in the future session.
Perfect. Yeah. No, I'll probably would like to see it again if possible. If you do post it somewhere.
Yeah. All right. But yep. Thank you for spending time with me with this coaching session.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Dave.
Hey, no problem. No problem. Thanks for supporting me.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
Yeah. Have a nice day, dude.
Yeah, you too.
Peace.